You just got clickbaited. Well, not entirely. I'm not going to use an iPhone as my personal cell phone today, or probably ever, but what you're looking at now is in fact a box full of iPhones. iPhones are one of the things that I get through this operation that I usually don't keep because they're either too new to be of interest to me or they're not in the working order. This box has a whole bunch of ones that work, so maybe we'll keep it and take a look at these. These are older models. We have a couple that look like this. I believe these are 5s. There's some 5s and there's some SE models, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know where that stands in the line. I know the 5 came after the 4, but I don't know where the SE comes into face with the QW or the whatever. I couldn't even tell you what model they're up to. I just don't care. So this is a 4, and in fact this is somewhat of a curiosity because this telephone, I can't even call this thing a telephone, this unit was the same device that recorded many of the original videos on this channel. I don't want to get too involved in that conversation because we're going to have another video for that in of itself, but I did record quite a few videos with one of these iPhone 4s back before I had a proper camera. There's a whole bunch of these things in here. These are the only 3 that are usable, and I think what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to keep these and we're going to do some video experiments with these. I could think of not a lot of cases, but some cases where I would appreciate having a couple of extra cameras, especially as I want to start learning more video editing. I could think of a number of videos where I could use 2 or more cameras. So if these take a halfway decent video, which I think if they're set up correctly and operated correctly, they probably do, then they may be worth keeping for that purpose. I think a lot of the problems that we see with the iPhone videos today is that people, well, they're user error. You get people that record it verticam, which is wrong, and you get people that hold it freehand instead of with a tripod. And what I remember from when I was recording with one of those, what I remember was that I could not hold the thing steady because there's no, as far as I know it, there's no real image stabilization on there. And so any freehand video, especially being it's kind of an awkward thing to hold, any freehand video is generally pretty shaky. And I also remember that the camera software that came with the phone didn't really take a good video, and that having a third-party video camera program typically yielded a much better recording. So we'll get into that in a separate conversation. But anyways, we have a number of other phones here. We have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 of these, which I believe are, I think some of these are 7 model. That one's a 6, whatever that it means. I'm not sure what that one, I think that's a 7. That's the 7s. That's a 6. That's a 6. And this one is broken. It just doesn't power on, so I have no idea what the model number is. I guess it's just a S according to the back of it. Some of these are the broken. Now this one's no good also. Okay, so we've got 2 that are just dead to the world. A lot of these, the screens are the broken, so those of course are not of any use to me. And then I have a number of of other ones here. These are, that's a C as whatever the heck that is. That's a 4, I think. And these are 5s. And so there's quite a few of them here. All of these have been rendered unusable by the Apple. And I find that highly agitating. The problem is they have what's called the activation lock. I don't really understand this thoroughly, but from what I do understand, what's transpired is somebody used an Apple ID on these devices, and when the devices changed owners, they did not remove the Apple ID. And so when I went through and reset them on the computer, I was not able to activate them again because of the traces of the old Apple ID left on the units. And I'm really appalled by this. On one hand, I appreciate Apple's attempt to protect people from themselves, because a lot of people don't understand that when you discard a computer, you should really cancel off all of your personal information. I've lost track of how many computers come through this operation with no password on the login, and every set of credentials to their name is saved in the web browser and completely accessible to anybody with the device physically in front of them. And so I appreciate the fact that they tried to protect people from that, but their attempt is a total failure. First off, I don't understand why you can't wipe the device out completely and then reuse it. Wipe it out as in the data is gone and then reuse it. Why you need the previous user's permission to reuse the phone is beyond me, because you can erase the contents without the previous user. So let's say the unit gets stolen. Let's even use that case. Let's say that the machine gets stolen and a thief finds it and the owner doesn't want them to be able to use it. Let's say the thief wipes it out and then discovers that it has the activation lock on it. The owner has now lost the material on the phone. They've lost however many years of photographs and everything else that was on there. And I would think that the material on the phone would be a much bigger loss to most people than the physical device itself. So even in the case of it gets stolen, I still don't really see how great this activation lock thing is. But that's Apple for you. And so Apple has rendered 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 units useless, all because of this ID lock on there. And it's really a shame, because all these units work. Otherwise, the hardware is perfectly fine. They're older models, but people that are operating on the budget and can't afford to spend $1,000-something on a new phone could absolutely make use of these. And now they can't, because Apple. Now, the only way that I know of to remove the activation lock is to get the original owner to clear it off of there. And I mean, I probably could, because I know the environment that these were used in. I probably could do that. I could probably trace back to the original owner each one of these telephones, but it's just not worth my time, because I don't really have a foreseeable use case for them. But it's just a shame that perfectly usable hardware is now rendered useless for a nonsense reason. It doesn't really make any sense. My opinion is that they do that for no other reason than to force people to buy new ones. Because they know that most people don't know how to cancel all the stuff off of the device when it changes owners. They know that people don't know how to go into iClouds and delete this and deactivate that, whatever. They know that. And they make it difficult. And so, are they really doing this in good favor? I don't think so. I think they're just greedy and they're obsoleting hardware, which is ironic because we're in a material shortage where you can't get the new stuff. So they brick the old stuff and then you can't replace it. Like, it's stupid. Whatever. Also in the box here, there's a couple of headphones. I don't know how old these are, but they may be getting old enough to be worth something. And then also in there we have 3 caaaaaaaaaameras cell phones. And these are actually phones that I would use. I don't have a current need for these. I have a working unit, but I'm going to keep all these on hand in case mine breaks or I, for whatever reason, decide that I want a second cell phone. I've thought about getting a second cell phone line because there's a couple of really economical services that I want to try and see if they're any good. So that's that. So we're going to keep those for sure. I'll keep these. Maybe someday those will be worth something. I'll keep these 3 units at work, and we'll do some camera videos with those and see if they would work. I would never consider one of those as my primary camera, but I think if used correctly, they probably could produce a good enough video to use as a secondary camera. I don't know if the batteries are any good or not. I suppose if using it as a camera, it wouldn't really matter. These are going to have to be physically destroyed because they have data on them. So do these two. I can't delete the stuff off of there that don't work. So we'll have to deal with that. And then these other ones, I have already tried to remove the lock a couple different ways. There's one other person that may be able to do it for me. I'm not sure. I tend to not think so, just from my limited understanding of how it works. If anybody knows how to get around that lock so that you could use it with that lock on there, let me know, because I would really hate to just throw out all this hardware. Not that I am fond of iPhones by any means, but if I could use it for a camera on occasion, or if I could give them to somebody else that would use them, I'd much rather do that than just toss them. But if I can't get that Apple ID, these are all going to have to be destroyed, because I can't ethically just get rid of them from here with somebody's data on them. I'm not doing that. The privacy of people's stuff when they discard equipment is a major ethical issue, and I've never had an issue with it, and I don't intend to have an issue with it. So these are going to have to get erased somehow, and I tend to think it's probably going to be physically if I can't get that lock off of there. So that's the iPhone adventure. There's a lot of them here. I think there's 3, there was 9 there, then these other 2 that are dead. So there's quite a few of them here. But I don't know. I'm very frustrated by this lock, because, if they weren't locked, maybe I could use them. We got to get a good, see if I get a good clickbait thumbnail here before we close out the video. I just realized there's almost one of every color here, I think. I don't know how many colors they offer, but it looks like there's like a pink one or a gray one, a couple of black ones, whatever, I don't know. There's our thumbnail. And until I can figure this out, or if I can't figure it out at all, that's the end of these. And the next time we have a video appearance, it'll be one of these. Probably not that one. I think that one's too old to even put software on it, but maybe one of those two. I think this one is a little bit newer, so maybe this would be the one that we use.